there, welcome back to another show. You'll probably notice I'm back to pre-records, none of the StreamYard things up top. The reason for that is earlier in the year I didn't have much time to actually do much in the case of editing and uploading things, so I used the StreamYard, but now I'm back to using the uploading thing and trying to make it look a little bit better. The quality in some of those videos this year haven't been great, which I was never very happy with, but it was just a case of that was the circumstances at the time. I couldn't do much about it, so there we go. As you probably noticed today, it's a bit dark. I'm still kind of working out my visual stuff. I've got a new graphics card, so hopefully things will look a bit better. I've got some different lights, but I'm going to mess around with the lights. But today, because it's a dark morning up in Scotland, I thought it would be quite nice to do a moody lighting thing. So that's what I'm doing. So please forgive the variety of wires you'll see around me and things. It's just like that's just the way it is at the moment. But I'll get better. What I'm going to start off with is talking about The Creator, which is the new Gareth Edwards film. Now, Edwards has made like 4 films. He made Monsters, he made Godzilla, he made Star Wars Rogue One, now he's made The Creator. So he's a director you have to try and avoid mixing up with Gareth Evans, who does the action stuff. There's 2 Gareths, and they both came out at the same time, and they both actually look kind of similar, so it's hard. Sometimes you have to stop and think, no, that's the wrong one. but one does more action and one does more sci-fi. I've really been a big fan of Edward stuff. I adored Monsters and Godzilla, and I think Rogue One is the best of the Disney Star Wars films by a mile. So I was looking forward to seeing the Creator and seeing what they had. Now, The Creator came out with not much in the way of publicity. You got some trailers. If you went to cinema, you'd get a trailer for quite a few months. But apart from that, there really wasn't that much publicity. It's almost like they were a bit scared of this film because there was no easy sell for it. There was nothing to say, okay, this one will interest you because of this or that. No, it was an AI film that wasn't a Terminator film, basically. And when it was publicised, everyone said, oh, this is a Terminator ripoff, which is not. And because it's much more going towards what they did with the Matrix films rather than Terminator. It's much more about the ambiguity of AI and the potential ambiguity of AI and the problems with humanity and dealing with AI rather than destroy the machines because they're going to destroy us, which is much more Terminator. In this case, you do have a messiah figure, but it's a machine and it's a little girl machine, which is very different from, Neo from the Matrix, was a different thing from that as well. And even though you've got like the John Connor character in the Terminator films, that's a very different character. So even when it's taken elements that are in those films, it's doing its own thing with it, so that the meaning of why they're there and where they are in the plot is very different. Now, the one thing it owes to Terminator more than anything is a love story that leads to the creation of this messiah that will free the world, but it's freeing the world from the flaws of humanity rather than the flaws of machines, which is a very different thing from what you get in Terminator. So there is a different feel. Now, these things, you find out them during the plot, but you can figure them out pretty early on. I mean, it's not really... This is not a plot that's trying to hide its details. If you're observant, you're going to spot some of this stuff before the lead character does. And that's fine, because the story's not really about the surprise. The story's really about the journey of this guy figuring it out. I figured out most of the things, the important things, fairly early on. There was a few nice surprises later on, but generally I kind of figured certain things out. But it didn't really matter. I still really enjoyed the film, because the film is about the experience of this guy going through this problem in this new world. rather than trying to show a film full of major plot twists that you'll never see coming about. So most of the plot it's within the setup. So if you actually pay attention, you can infer certain things if you're watching with a brain. You'll be able to infer certain things from the setup, and that's fine. So the film basically is this guy who played by John David Washington, or yeah, I'm trying to make sure I get the first two names right. He was in Tenet and he's in a couple of other things. He's playing a soldier who's barely been injured, who in the start is going undercover to find this person who is viewed as by the machines as the creator or the messiah, the person who's going to lead them to salvation. Because during the early part of the film, machines are starting to get hunted down by humans because of a nuclear weapon went off in Los Angeles that the machines were blamed for. They said that was machines attacking humanity. And America stopped developing AI and they've been hunting them down ever since. The machines escaped to Asia, and Asia got a much more tolerant view of AI and what they're about. But it didn't stop America from actually attacking the machines in Asia and not caring about international laws or anything else. Sort of like what America does. I mean, America's had a policy over the years of not really caring about international law. And the film does have a metaphorical sense of America jumping in to situations that they have not thought through and using violence as might is right as their way through the situation. That's what this film looks at as one of its themes, is the American need for revenge, the American need for a simplistic solution to a problem that's not simplistic. And that becomes a major issue in the film. Like, this is a thing that's actually causing havoc within the film, within the characters, and within how they can survive. And it's about the lead character having to go beyond his insular training, where everything's about how it affects him, and he slowly has to learn how to have an idea of the wider picture and who's been affected and be less selfish. But it's not done in a schematic way. If you've seen Monsters, the Gareth Edwards film, which is his debut, it had a very nice sense of these flawed characters struggling through a situation and not really having a solution, just trying to struggle through. And that film has that same feel. And it's a thing that Edwards had in Godzilla, which was viewed as a flaw, the sense of you did not have this big macho character. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, who was just trying to get home and try to deal with family and get back to them, and he was doing his best, and he was involved with these things, dealing with Godzilla and these other mutos, just to get back to his family. So it wasn't a soldier trying to do the big, great, heroic thing. Which is the thing I like about Edwards, as he has characters that are flawed and who rise to the occasion. I mean, in Rogue One, the characters initially do not want to go and do this big mission. Eventually they have to, but it's not something they're really motivated to do until it becomes obvious they need to do it. So he's a liking for characters who are flawed, who have made mistakes, who genuinely don't have all the answers and cock up certain things quite easily, and have like their own demons and biases that get in the way, which is what I like about Edwards. He does have very flawed human characters, and that continues here. I mean, the Washington's character, he has to kind of learn to get beyond himself and bond with this machine little girl, who, as you can probably figure out, has tied to him in a way which he didn't expect. But, and you get another thing of Washington's obsession as a thing that's been used by the American military, because they understand that obsession to manipulate him into doing certain things. So it's kind of like Minority Report, but if the lead character was not a total fascist lunatic, instead was this human character who's getting manipulated by his obsessions. Sort of like this is sort of like a weird riff in Vertigo, the idea of a character has a flaw and the people around him see the flaw and they use it to really mess with him. But in this one, he actually recognises his pattern of behaviour and what's going on, and that he has to do something about it. He has to try and go beyond what he was initially wanting. So it's like a character with a growth, to become less selfish, but it's done in a very human way. A lot of times when characters have growths in movies, they tend to have a growth that's, I'm going to have to turn this down a bit. This is so bright on me here. They tend to have a growth that's, not human. It feels very much like a series of studio notes, and you don't get the familiarity of character that actually makes you interested in the person. It just feels like notes of, we want this character to do this, we need this character to do that, and we want to inspire people. So they take away all the human edges that would make the character inspirational, and it just becomes a set of idealised characteristics to start with, and then they have them apparently improve, but it's not a human person, so it's like watching a robot improve. In this one, you actually have robots, but it's a much more human thing. The robots are working themselves out. They have basically been programmed to be attached to human morality and human dreams, and are basically the next stage of evolution, really, for humanity, rather than being this alien thing that we can't understand. So, watching this film and watching the Matrix films will be quite interesting, because the Matrix films are about the evolution of machines and humans through what they see, what they do, through the projection of themselves within the digital Matrix space, and how that evolves the actual reality of the characters in the real world. In this one, the machines have been programmed to reflect humanity, and actually the faces been created from human beings, that they've been cloned from human beings to give the machines faces that allow them to feel more attached to the physical world and the biological world. Even though they're machines, it's a different thing. And even you have the evolution of this character who can, this little girl who, when she gets older, she can probably learn to control all machines. It's not about making someone who's a superhuman character. By the end of the film, she still hasn't learned to control much, because it's a slow process, and it's about the evolution of this character who is kind and learning to be kind and seeing the sacrifices made by people who are kind. And it's like a child learning responsibility rather than a child learning to use a power, which is a very different thing from what you get in a lot of mainstream films, where you get superheroes who learn their powers, and the whole idea is, they'll learn to control their powers, but they'll still get any fights. In this one, the child is, it's much more like what they did in Terminator 2, where the child is still a child. They don't expect this character to use guns or create violence. It's much more about having a child learn good values through the drama and finding their better self through the drama. And it's about the characters find their better self through the drama. But while I say that, it still doesn't feel very much like Terminator either. It feels much more its own thing. It feels much more like written science fiction, where the side things are as important as the main plot, and all the world building around them is important. I mean, you find out later on that the actual nuclear bomb going off wasn't machines at all, it was a human error. And that comes in one line. They don't overdo it, which is really good, because it shows you the human beings have completely ignored that. And it's like, the machines know it, but they're not whining about it. It's like, yeah, this, they did the mistake and they're blaming us for it. But that's it. It's not like in a Takia film that would be repeated again, again, again. Instead, it's like one line. And again, the idea of this machine that everyone's scared of could destroy the humans. It doesn't want to destroy the humans, and there's no interest in that. And the only thing it wants to destroy the humans' capacity to inflict damage on the machines, but that's it. The machines don't want to destroy humans. Machines are fond of humans. So it becomes something else. It's about the fear of the human beings versus the actual reality of this is a evolving society, and violence is not the way out of it. Violence is I think it's going to cause so much trouble. And the machines could have been much more violent in response, and they haven't chosen not to be. And so the humans have ignored all that information, and they're just going for violence. So it's a very interesting film. I mean, there are flaws in the film. I mean, I would say that there's too much action at the end. There's stuff at the end to destroy the threat. That there's some really good character beats in it, but it's a bit too much action. And I think even people who like the film think that the finale, the final beats, have a bit too much action to it. It just feels like this could have been done simpler, you know. And it feels like they added money to the budget they didn't need to spend to get action beats that no one really wanted anyway. And it kind of goes against the whole idea of the film. It could have been ended simpler, like 10 minutes earlier, quite easily. And it doesn't, but that doesn't take away from the film itself. It just feels like it's a situation where that was a kind of commercial compromise that the film made. And you wish it was done a bit better, but it's still a very good film. So that's a flaw in the film, but most films are flaws, so it didn't really bother me that much. The action was good, and it was still character motivated, it was still interesting. It just felt like you didn't really need it at that point in the film. But this is still a very good science fiction film. It's very heartfelt. It wants to give the audience an actual, very human-based drama that's a science fiction movie, rather than having lots of lightsabers and things like that. It wants to do something more human. And it's another reminder that Gareth Edwards is a very talented sci-fi director. He does a lot of good stuff. I mean, some people find his films to be a bit distant, emotionally distant, but I don't. I like the distance he has, because I think it means you have to pay attention, and the humanity is there. It's just not in your face and throwing the emotions at you, like almost prostituting itself, like a lot of films do. I'm especially looking at these Star Wars sequels, which really were throwing these ciphers at you as if you're meant to care. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd recommend you go and see the film. It is really interesting. So that's me for now. I'll be back soon with another one. Bye.